burnt out ESCs, various ones, and the mods I've done to help prevent damage, especially around the undercarriage. Photo of the CAPAC which has been installed, as you can see in line. Carbon fibre strengtheners connected to aluminium plates and the wing tube. Okay, video today on the history of my journey to get to a reliable 67-inch pilot. This one, laser. After having 6 of these, 6, and lots of crashes for various reasons, reliability reasons. Some have already been previously mentioned in previous videos, but I haven't made a video for ages because I've been having a lot of, well, trying to build some reliability and trying to build my skills. So, just a little bit of a backstory. People have watched the other videos. I've had 3 NG 67 pilots, 2 67-inch slicks, and now this one. And most of them are in the bin. Well, they're all in the bin apart from this one, for various reliability issues. Unfortunately, a few dumb thumbs, but I've just been through the worst experience I've had with this plane, with these planes. And it's not actually the plane's fault, it's not the airframe fault. The airframes are brilliant. It's an issue what creeps up on you slowly, and you think you've got a reliable plane, and it's all to do with batteries. Batteries getting old. As your battery gets old, it can cause voltage drops on to your ESC, which in turn causes problems. And I didn't know this, didn't know none of this. I thought I had ESC fires. I've had a few ESC fires. I'll post some pics on this video of my ESC fires, expensive ESC fires. A fire on an £180 dual sky ESC, an Hobby Wing 120 amp ESC, fire on that, and cutouts on a 100 amp dual sky ESC. And in amongst all that, lots of dead sticks and breakages through dead sticks, unfortunately, because they were low down, and where I fly I haven't got a massive amount of room to land, so you were landing in cow fields, unfortunately, which just rips that off, which in turn rips all that out. But the best thing is I've come out of it from the other end. I nearly packed the hobby in. I thought it got the better of me, but after I think 4 dead sticks, 2 fires, so all the 4 dead sticks damaged. All this was damaged, and then I've done something. I've learnt something how to make these a lot stronger on a dead stick. If you've only got a small landing field and you get a dead stick and you've got to land it in a rough field, and you land it down, and this snaps off inevitably, because if it's in a rough field, it can only go one way. It has to snap. So, and in turn, that breakage breaks all this inside, and it's a mess. And it's very difficult to repair at the best, because you don't want to take all this wood out to get to that wood. Anyway, what I've done to initially, I didn't know what it was. I thought, well, it's an ESC getting hot. So I went down, put in this toothpaste box on to try and get some more air in. That was my first thought. No, that didn't work. I've still got it on because I think it keeps it cool, but that didn't work. It wasn't that. So then I thought, well, what is it then? What's causing it? So I bought a bigger ESC, a better ESC. £180, like I say, dual sky. 120 amp, high voltage, I was running an 18 by 10 APC, which wasn't ideal, but I know other people do. And this Dual Sky 2000R motor, and it was drawing 131 amps on the floor. And I was my hobby wing and my one was 120 amps rated, but 150 amp burst, so I was pushing it. So I thought it was that. So I propped it down, I put it onto a 17 before, and then I still had a burnout. Well, it weren't a burnout, it did stick. In other words, it just stopped the motor, but I still had power. Anyway, still had power to the servos. So, how did I sort all this crap out? Well, after reading Castle's Cremations, that's how bad it is. They've actually sorted it. They've had an history of this in the past fires. And I went on a 50-page forum. I read all their back history, why they got nicknamed Castle Cremations for the ESC. And they come to the conclusion, after massive testing, that it was a thing called ripple voltage caused through long extension wires from your ESC. Looking at you, look, very short. People making them longer, not necessarily true. I don't think they were. I think it was more to do with these older batteries causing a voltage drop, which in turn causes a current spike to your ESC, which they hate, obviously for obvious reasons. So you can, you know, get a massive current spike to your ESC. Well, so big it blows them up. It just literally like they explode into flames. That's how bad it is. So if you're going to run an old LIPO, this isn't an old one, but it's getting on. If you're going to run an old LIPO, what I've done on my transmitter is I put a call out, I vibrate and call out because it's 6S at 19 volts. So it calls out at 19 volts. The nominal voltage on these is 22.2 volts. I try to land at around about 21, 22 volts. But if I get a voltage drop at 19 volts, I know I'm putting a lot of stress on that ESC. And ripple voltage basically is, because these motors are being switched on and off with PWM signal, you get voltage spikes. Sorry, current spikes, because it drops its voltage, the current goes up, and you tend to get it mid throttle. You don't tend to get it at full throttle because it's not being turned on and off. In the PWM signal's not going on and off. It's going on and off at the mid throttle. So Castle, like I say, Castle have, good old Americans have had the history. You know, all the people writing in and getting sick of it, and they came up with a thing called a capacitor bank. Now unfortunately you can't see it on here. It's all tucked away under here, and it's 560 farad, 35 volt capacitors, ultra low resistance capacitors, and 4 of them in parallel, soldered as near to as you can. You can actually see there that where it's soldered in. I haven't managed to put any heat shrink tubing over it, but I'm not bothered. Either side, and you put it in as close as you can to that, to the ESC, and it stops your ripple voltage. Anyway, since I've done that, I've had nothing. I've had no call out from my transmitter. I have propped it down from an 18 by 10 to an 18 by 8 wood prop instead of an APC, because I think they draw too much current. So the current's gone down from 131 amps on an APC 18 by 10 to 118 amps on this 18 by 8, even though it's only rated at 100 amps as the Dual Sky 100 amp Summit Lite. It's rated at burst at 150, so it's coping. I've absolutely hammered it with my old batteries, and I've actually had call outs at 19 volts, but I haven't burnt any, and I haven't had any ESC overheating or anything. It's all been reliable. I haven't had any dead sticks. So hopefully, touch wood. I don't have any wood. Oh yeah, touch the propeller. Touch wood. It's gonna be all right now, because it really very nearly put me off this hobby. But the good things what come out of it, and there's always something good comes out of a bad situation. Because I'd had that many crashes, I was repairing that much in here. Literally, the last model, the NG, I'd repaired it that much inside. I'd had homemade plywood in here on about 4 or 5 crashes. It was literally a mess, but it flew all right, as long as the wings are in line with the thing and everything's, you know, inclined, you know, incline's fine, your motor offset's fine. It flew perfect, but it was really tatty, really tatty. So eventually the last one where it failed and it went in, I just thought, right, that's it, I've had enough, I'll buy a new one. Thinking I'll put a new ESC in, a big 120 amp ESC in. It set a fire in this model. Only had it a week, set a fire. Did 14 flights and then boom, fire, gone. Hobby Plastic have been absolutely fantastic. They've replaced it free of charge. Didn't even ask for it back. So shout out to Hobby Plastic. They've been absolutely, Hobby Plastic UK, brilliant. Part of McGregor's, really good, really good. I'd buy things off them again, definitely. If they're that, you know, no quibble. But to be fair on them, I think it's partly to do with the Chinese who make dual sky motors and dual sky ESCs haven't got the history like Castle Creations. I shouldn't say cremations, it's a bit unfair. They haven't got the history like Castle. And Castle, to be fair on them, and brilliant, you know, hats off to them, they have dealt with it. They put software in so you can monitor ripple voltage. They've put, they've made capacitor packs, what you can solder in. That's where I got the idea from. And if it wasn't for Castle, I probably wouldn't have known about this phenomenon of ripple voltage. I would never have known, and I probably would have packed the hobby in. But fortunately, because Castle have dealt with all this 10 years ago, I would have, you know, I wouldn't have known. But the biggest shame of it all is I like Castle Creations. I like their ESCs. I've had a Castle Talon 9 on a 60-inch. Brilliant ESCs. But they don't run 28 pole motor. This is a 28 pole motor. Castle tend to be more suited to a lower pole motors, unfortunately. So I didn't even want to try a Castle with this. I thought, well, I'll stick with what they recommend. The 100 amp ESC. To be fair, on Dual Sky, it does say on their website for this, it's a little bit vague. It misses a little bit of information off, and this is what threw me. It says you can use up to an 18 by 10 prop. I'm not sure if it says APC or not. I think it might even say APC, but it says something at the bottom about throttle management. You've got to have a bit of throttle management. Now, what that's saying is, don't keep it on too long on full throttle, probably, so otherwise you'll overheat it. But I don't think that's a problem. I think keeping it on full power isn't the problem. Well, I know it's not. It's the ripple voltage, definitely. It's the mid throttle where it's been cutting out, not nowhere near full throttle. Where it's going up, where the PWM signal to the motor's going on and off, and that's where you cause it. And then when you get this ripple from the voltage drop on the battery, that's when it buggers your ESC up, and then once your ESC goes, you're dead stick. And like I said, unless you're on a bloody airfield where you've got lovely miles and miles of smooth landing area, you can just glide it in any old place, you're all right. But if you're on a patch of grass in the middle of a cow field somewhere, and everywhere's got fences round, very likely you're going to write the plane off, or you're going to have to pancake it down, you know, short short and sweet, which is normal case, and these don't roll well on cow fields, I'll tell you now. So it's all been an horrible experience, but I've come through it. I've propped it down slightly. I've listened to advice. 18 by 8 prop, that's maximum I'd run on these. I really would. Otherwise, you're going to ask for trouble. Unless you could go for an 18 by 10, but you'd need a brand new battery, brand new, not aging batteries, not saggy. We have a really good C rating. This is a 90C. I'm running the ones what it were failing on were old, good batteries. What were rated 70 to 150C. Which is still a good rating for a battery, but they were getting old, and because they were getting old, they were getting sag, voltage sag, which we're calling out on transmitter, were obvious. So that's what were causing me problems. So I made me sell this Capac. It's a bank of 4, 560 farad, 35 volts in parallel. Like I said, soldered into there, and it's not been any problem. And I do run a Spectrum milliamp sensor under here as well. And the Capac is brilliant because it solders it. Well, it not solders it. Fastens to the milliamp sensor. So I've got a milliamp sensor call out with a Capac on top now. And these, what I've put in, is an old undercarriage off an NG, cut in half. And the reason why it looks heavy, I know it's a pain in the arse, but if you pancake it, if you're in a field somewhere and you have to pancake this down or whatever, because you can't glide it in, because you're in the middle of over a cow field or whatever, you've got to land it in a cow field. These will save all this. Everything will not get damaged. And the reason being is they go down to, if you look in there, they bolt to this angle iron inside here, this aluminium angle iron. I don't know if you can see it. They bolt to that on either side. And what that's for is the pressure from this, when it goes down, gets transferred to this wing tube, because that's the strongest bit of the aeroplane. You don't want all this breaking. It's a new £500 airframe. If all that breaks, you can mend it, but it's so tatty after. It just feels rotten. It's a horrible experience mending all that. It really is. It's not nice, especially if you can't get the wood off pallet, because they're only small planes. I don't think they tend to do. It's not worth it to them. So that method, even though it adds a bit of weight, it still does 3D, no problem at all. It's such a little amount of weight, and all it is just some threaded bar with nylon lock nuts, and it's so tight it actually clamps this. It stops this from spinning, so you can pick it up. That stays in permanently now. It doesn't move at all. So it's actually quite good as an handle. Now, the other thing I've found is, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, I'm so glad I found it, is I don't bother with the bolts, the steel bolts on these. Do not put steel bolts on these, please. They're rubbish. If you put steel bolts on here, all that'll happen is, first bad landing on rough grass or whatever, this will just literally rip the hell out of the plane. It'll just destroy it, just absolutely destroy the inside of that aircraft. But if you've got these on, and they're 4mm wing bolts, just normal wing bolts, like what you use on your wings. Well, I don't use them, because that's another story I'm getting to. But if you get rid of these, put these in. I need to change that one out, because that's just from local electrical. I run out of these. I need to buy some more. That's how many I've gone through. I've gone through a packet of 10, plus I think I went through another 12. I've had that many problems with dead sticks through this ESC fiasco. It's been a nightmare. Anyway, I really recommend these. The only downside, when it rips this off, if you've got wheel pants on like these, they will puncture the wings. But I'd rather have punctured wings than all this smashed up. And luckily on the layers, where it punches them, it's not a lot of wood. So it's not that bad. They're quite easy to repair. So that's that. That's the toothpaste box. That's just sellotape round. And I've left the flaps on. So that actually goes over the top of the ESC. So the air actually goes down there and it actually goes right over that ESC perfectly. So there's no problem with cooling on that. I mean, you've seen it. I've made another video on that. So that's that. Right, next. This, finally, I know I've done other videos and I've connected this with wood. I've had a wooden thing on it. Now this is a far better way of doing it. Aluminium posts, AliExpress, 80mm, if you want to know what size they are. 80mm long, just steel washers on either side. And then what I've done, because the pressure is only on that little area of that washer, I've stiffened, I put an extra gusset in here and on the inside and on there. I've just used that servo thing in the pilot kit just to stiffen all that up. I want that stiff. I don't want any flex at all on this. And then all that is some 6mm aluminium plate. And all I did to make that were really easy. Is put the cowl on, put some masking tape across while all this were off, and then put a little dot right in the middle of the masking tape, right there, right in the middle of the centre of that. Take it off, mark it all up, easy enough. All made by hand, you don't need any special tools, and it's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Now I can get to the bolts on the outside to take it off. I can get to these easier. With none of these silly little screws, with plenty of air what can get right through. And the other bonus is, because you haven't got a box on here, you can take your motor wire above the box so it's not obstructing any airflow, and then you drop it down through here straight into your ESC. So it's really neat, it's much neater. Like I said, I've made 7 of these. I've rebuilt umpteen. So I think that's what I've come to. That's my setup. The motor box crap, do away with it, use this. And once you I've weighed this 6mm plate, I've weighed these, I've weighed the motor mount what I've took off, and it comes to about the same weight. There's very little in it. And for the extra strength and the peace of mind and all the crap what that comes with, you want peace of mind. Once that cowl's on, you want peace of mind. You don't want to know what's going on with it. You just want to know it's reliable. So that's put to bed. That's one thing. That's put to bed. Oh, by the way, that has been in this. When you pancake it with it never ever breaks that. It just snaps it off and it throws it away. It throws it out of your way. It just disappears out of your way. You know, near aircraft, but it might damage these. You know, it might get a bit of damage on these, but it never ever damages that. So I've never had to buy one of these. I've had 4 pancakes. This plane's been in 6. Can you believe? 5. A bit embarrassed on one of them. One of them were two embarrassments. One were a dead stick. Not a dead stick. One was a dumb foam, sorry, and I knocked the tail off at the back, which is my own fault. Put my hands up, not bothered. Easy repair, no other damage apart from tail. And the other one was really annoying. These slid back. One of them slid back again. I've had this before. One of them slid back, wing came off in the middle of a blender, straight in front of me. Shattered this. Absolutely shattered it. Cracks all over. As you can see, it's all cracked. But if you take your time and you repair it, you very little. You know, you can get them back. You can get them back. So that's that. And then you're probably thinking, well, what's these then? So what I've done, I've put these on because I'm in my 50s. I think it must have been me who not tightened them up enough or whatever. So I'll put them on, and what they do, they slide behind them. A bit like Skywing. Skywing have taken care of this problem. They've got a lot better setup, but they patented it, unfortunately. Because I wish Pilot could have done it the same way. They do it vertically, which is a lot better. Anyway, well, I had all the covering off from these repairs. I thought I'm going to do it. All I've done is cut that top away. The wood goes down there. There's no way on this earth will that ever come out. And I don't use the nylon wing bolts. I use aluminium, steel with these. Because I've had loads of these planes, I've adapted some of these. So there, you can get them really nice and tight. That's that. Electronics, well, I've shown you all this before. Schottky diode, milliamp sensor. Oh, I had a hobby wing what they call it, UBEC burn out on me. I think the capacitor again, another bloody capacitor, had burnt out on the inside. So that packed on me. So I just thought, right, I'm going to get a even better one. So I've got a Castle Bec Pro. I like my Becs. I don't use batteries, separate batteries. I like my Bec. So that's that. I don't think there's anything else in here. That you can see the that tie wrap, that's holding that cap back on. These two are holding your ESC on. All I've done with the ESC, I've let it so that air can flow right underneath that ESC as well as above it. So that gets plenty there. If you look down there, you can see the nylon. If you look through that slot there, you can see the nylon bolts with the nuts on. What else? Oh, tail wheel. Yeah, tail wheel. I just did threaded bar, 3mm threaded bar, and then I ground the end down to go through there, and then put a nut on it, and that seems to have cured that snapping, because these were snapping the crap. What pallets the price for these are too thin, rubbish. They need to be 3mm bolt, it's 3mm threaded bar, so that's been fine. That's been on 6 different planes, that tiller wheel. It's so reliable, it's brilliant. Servos, don't mess about, just get MKS, fantastic, brilliant. I've had Savox, crap, burnt one out, rubbish. I'm never going to have a Savox. Beauty of these are they're fast and they're reliable, and that's everything in my book. They might be a bit more money than Savox, but oh my god, it's worth every penny. You don't want to be thinking about whether they're reliable or not. Servos, spend your money on servos. I seal all the joints on hinges. What else? And that's it. You know about these. I've put all sense of gimbals on them. Finally can do rifle rolls now. Took me God knows how long. So it gets hammered. It does get hammered, this plane, when it's out. When I do, and I tend to fly one after another. I don't mess about waiting for it to cool down. I just go one after another. So trying to get reliability in something what I want to fly has not been easy, because I've been hammering it. But I just wished I'd known about the Capax, this ripple voltage. It's took an expensive heartache to learn, lesson to learn. So if anybody's been, and I've known other people who've had the same problem, so people running older batteries, I'm talking to myself.